Hey people that are interested in cats, the paranormal and things. Well, today we couldn't get out because weather it has been pants. So once weather's nice, I will be doing a bit more out and about and trying to do a bit more spooky investigations. But today we have spooky stories. So sit tight, relax, have a coffee, sit down, and I hope you enjoy these stories. A house or its bones stands in the fallen wood, alone, empty and forgotten. Long ago it was full of life before the coming of a stranger. His name was Grey. The Stone family was happy before he arrived. But then he came like a dark cloud, one moonless night. John Stone, the master of the house, lived here with his 3 daughters and his second wife, having lost his first wife to consumption 13 years earlier. John had been a broken man, wandering the land as a beggar, until his fate changed as if by magic. Knocking on the door at 11 o'clock in winter, Grey took a tale of being lost to the daughter who answered the door. His eyes danced with a strange fire, so all who looked into them, save those of the strongest Christian faith, could not deny his every request. And so it was that she made him a guest. With a smile, he entered, and upon her neck, he gave her a tender kiss that left a mark, passing her to a dark gift. Going into the main room, John Stone saw this guest and inquired of his daughter, "Who is this man, daughter?" Before she could answer, the stranger smiled and said, "Do you not know me, John Stone? Am I not the man you met 7 years ago, this very night at the crossroads?" Then from his pocket he produced a scroll. Opening it, he continued, "Is this not your name in your hand? Promising me your daughters in exchange for earthly wealth?" John Stone's face became a mask of fear, and he said, "Take the house, take me, but you will never have my daughters." Grace smiled and said, "Are you sure?" "Yes," replied John. Grace smiled from ear to ear and said, "The contract is broken. Now I'll take all of you." No witness came from that house, and later it was said that the walls of the house were painted with scarlet red. The Stones were never seen again, and no one would live in that house. Story 2. Long ago, as the old man say, in the forest stood a tower with a shrine to the old gods of Babylon. There, the followers of Lilith offered the most grisly of sacrifices, that of newborn innocence. For power, it is said that the leader of the cult, Mary Craven, managed to summon the devil himself. The tale that she betrayed all of her followers to him, laughing manically as each of them were dragged kicking and screaming to hell. It was strange because Mary was born a peasant, but at the time of her disappearance 7 years prior, she was a wealthy landowner. The old men of the village say she would come at night and drink the life force of children, women and men, close to their demise. One child said she woke up just as a little black cat with red eyes jumped through the bedroom window. The gaze of its eyes paralyzed her. She couldn't move or call out. Suddenly the cat turned into Mary, who then began to suck the air out of the girl's mouth. The next night, the girl's father watched over her, but in the morning, having heard no sound in the night, the mother found both of them had passed. This went on until at last a woman from the village named Jane had a dream about a cave in the woods. In the cave was a coffin, and in that coffin slept Mary. So it was that a plan was made to find the cave. Mark the Sable Hand and James the Butcher led an expedition into the woods. It was late at night by the time they found the cave and the coffin, but Mary wasn't inside. Not knowing what else to do, they prayed over the coffin and placed a crucifix inside it. Then they closed the lid and hid, waiting for the return of Mary. About half an hour before the rising of the sun, she came like a massive grey dog with great fangs and red eyes. As she walked in, she said, "Who's here?" Slowly she stood on her hind legs and turned back into a woman. "Come out, my friends. You need not to fear," she said. With that, the men all suddenly fell upon her and fought a great battle, but all fell before her, except a young man named Sam. She was about to attack him when through the mouth of the cave, the first rays of the sun were slowly creeping in. She smiled at Sam and said, "It's your lucky day, boy." But upon opening the coffin, she howled like an animal. Suddenly she rushed to leave the cave, but it was too late. The new day's sun consumed her, and in seconds only ash was left of her. Sam, being a simple lad, or so they thought, gathered the ashes into a bottle and carried them back to the village. The old men say that on the blood moon, just last week, Sam, now an old man himself, resurrected Mary using the ashes and scarlet red. I tell you this tale because this morning my daughter told me that in the night she was attacked by a strange woman with red eyes. Story 3. A castle with high walls and dark windows looms over the surrounding land, a dark silhouette against the sky. Perched upon a high place, it is surrounded by impenetrable forest, save for a narrow, deliberately unkept road designed to delta invaders. Whispers speak of a maze of escape, tunnels hidden beneath its foundations. All men fear to come close, especially at night. The villagers whispered strange stories about a pact with Satan. They say Lord Williams died, but as it is seen on the moonless nights, walking abroad with his hound, Fang. It is said he sacrificed his wife and brother in exchange for the occult power, and that he drinks the life force of the living. 20 years ago, a mob inflamed by the vicar's fiery sermons went to burn down the castle and drive a stake through his heart. However, only one man returned. This survivor joined the mob out of fear of the others and had never wanted to go. Within a week, he was in his grave. Terrified he might also rise, they drove a stake through his heart. Most people moved far away after that, but I, James Perry, I am now about to embark on the journey to that castle, either to make my fortune or to accept my fate. My father had been the mayor of Crow's Nest, a small village close to the castle, and he had often told me the stories of hidden treasures buried in the tunnels. Below the castle, my sister Ivy suffers from an illness that can be treated, but only with enough money to afford the cure. This journey is my last hope to save her. Story 4. In the dimly lit room of a small weathered house, a man lay on his deathbed, his weathered face etched with lines of life well lived. With a wistful smile, he began to tell from the depths of his memory, his voice carrying the weight of years and the echoes of bygone era. "I remember this like it was yesterday," he murmured, his words soft and fragile. "I was a young man of 17, full of hope and dreams. It was a hard time, but I was happy, content, and simple with the joys of youth, until a shadow came to our town. But before the storm gathered, before the darkness descended upon our once peaceful town, there was a moment of innocence lost, a casual remark that would come to haunt us all. We thought it was just a game, you see, he continued, his voice tinged with regret. We didn't understand the Ouija board was dangerous, a gateway to forces beyond our comprehension. As he spoke, the room seemed to fade away, replaced by the sights and sounds of a time long past. The scent of pine and damp earth filled the air, mingling with the distant echoes of laughter and the whispering winds of change. We were young and carefree, oblivious to the storm clouds gathering on the horizon, he whispered, his voice tinged with a hint of nostalgia and sadness. But as the days passed, we began to sense a shift in the air, a darkness creeping into our midst. And so, with the innocence of youth and the naivety of ignorance, they ventured into the heart of the forest, their footsteps echoing in the silence, like a drumbeat of defiance against the encroaching shadows. We thought ourselves invincible, fearless in the face of the unknown. He whispered, his voice barely a whisper itself. But as we delved deeper into the darkness, we soon realized the true nature of the threat that loomed before us. As he spoke, the memories flooded back. A torrent of images and emotions crashed over him like waves against the shore. We saw things that defied explanation, creatures from beyond the stars, their eyes burning with a hunger that chilled us to the bone, he murmured, his voice trembling with emotion. But it missed the chaos and terror. There was a flicker of hope, a light in the darkness that refused to be extinguished. And so they stood, united in their resolve, facing the unknown with courage and determination. I'll never forget the moment we confronted the shadow that had descended upon our town, he whispered, his voice growing fainter with each passing word. It was 7 p.m. We were all hanging out at my friend John's house when the power went out. All of a sudden we heard screams from everywhere but nowhere. Ah! Something was outside the window. A shadow. It tapped on the glass and whispered. And then I passed out. When I woke up, my friends were gone and never came back. And at last, the echoes of his tale faded into the ether. He closed his eyes one final time, content in the knowledge that his story would live on, a testament to his resilience of human soul in the face of unfathomable darkness. And this was by Elias Ashenhurst and narrated by myself, Jackie Green. Now, I hope you enjoyed these stories. I tried to amp it up a little bit, trying to make it sound a little bit better, because sometimes just listening to a voice droning on until nothing in the background, it can get really boring. So, and sort myself out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Bye.